Laz here, playing Neverwinter on Xbox One again. In today's video, I will be going over the finished results of a lot of testing. And I changed quite a bit, that's why I'm not just making a small update video. So, first I'd like to thank two people from leaving comments on my other video. One of their names is Taekwondo Cray Canal Ulteriori, and the other fella's name is KB. And the first guy recommended using Thornward in my third encounter slot instead of Longstrider, and I'll get into that. And the second guy recommended testing the Imperial set as well as lowering my recovery. And I looked at one of his videos, and through that I changed some of my feats, just one. So let's get started right into it. And I'd like to thank, there's three guys that I run with a lot who help me test with numbers because we don't got a parser. And that would be Apex, who plays a Guardian Fighter. That would be J Demon, who plays a Great Weapon Fighter. And that would be Mr. Weaver, who plays ADC. And the three of us actually changed our companions to work with each other. Because I'm sure you ran into this guy already, this con artist. It's like the new meta. And okay, I'll try to start. Try to go fast. First thing, I've tested the artifact sets. So I have here, I have the Lost Mouth set, I have the Imperial set, and I'm using the Orcus set. So between the three, we'll start with the Imperial. The Imperial hits really hard on like daily mobs and probably outperforms the Lost Mouth up to like Lost Mouth and Spiders. It's like that's when the sets start to change because the mobs start to get more hit points. And there, the Lost Mouth will outperform past Spiders. They're both very good, and the damage isn't that much more noticeable, but in the dungeons, but on like daily mobs, the Imperial will hit harder. It'll trash them really fast. And the Orcus set keeps on par with the Lost Mouth up to like Lost Mouth and Spiders, and then like on CN, it outperforms Lost Mouth by a lot because the mobs have so many hit points. That's when it really shines, and especially like I noticed it a lot on the Giants in Cold Run. All right, so those are those three sets. You should probably be running a Transnegate if you're not used to the dodge mechanic of your class. I use the Elven right now, but I like to use the dodge, and I like the stamina gain, the resist. And this is my extra sets of armor. I have a full Dragonflight set, never wore it. This is actually to get into FBI. I just finished this the other day. I haven't done FBI yet, so I got the 28% now. And here's my guild. They're finishing it. I think the fastest run they had so far is 22 minutes. And my guild leader's been asking me to get in there with them. So maybe if everything goes well, I'll record that. But and I don't know if you guys know, you can get once you equip the piece of item, you're gonna have a chance to add Vonnie blood into it to increase it, which acts kind of like a overload slot. So it'll increase the stats, it'll give you more % of your resist so you can get in to FBI. Alright, so we got that out of the way. You need 28%. And this is my PvP set I finished making. For now, I eventually want to proceed stuff. And very helpful video to watch if you're into PvP is a gentleman by the name I mentioned earlier, is KB. Very helpful video if you're just starting out in PvP. I've never done PvP in this game, even though my guild in my alliance is a very strong PvP guild, which is, and I usually play games to PvP, but the PvE is holding me over in this game. Alright, so if I switched my Orcus set out, I would drop the Lost Mouth Horn and I would take this right here. Alright, so character, it's pretty much the same armor. I use 2 Dusk, 2 Umbral, Twisted set. Rings, I use Brutality, and I use Sudden Lifesteal. I just recently switched to the Lifesteal from Rise and Power. Like I mentioned earlier in my videos, I'm not a fan of the Rising rings. They only give you like I think it's like 1150 extra power, 4 seconds. And this is good if you get caught up and you overextend over your tank. This will proc where you'll have a chance to live, pretty much. And the shirts, I use the gems, the 145s. My artifacts, I use the Lost Mouth Horn, the lantern, the wheel as my active, and Orcus. Now when I switched from the Lost Mouth, I run in my offensive full brutals, except one enchant slot I changed to a Dark 12 for the pen to make up for the pen I was missing. So now I'm at 62% damage resist ignored. If I drop that dark, I go down to 57. So I've tried it. Like, and if you're using the Lost Mouth set, you can either have your last 2 either recoveries or radiance. And like I had silveries in there, and by the advice of that guy KB, I tried dropping both the silveries, but then I switched back to 1 radiant, 1 silvery. And my defenses, I run Black Ice. My overload slots, I run 1 Black Dragon and 1 Greater Corrupt. And my utilities, I run Darks. Alright, and when I rolled my character, I did 18 Dex, 18 Wisdom. Now they're 25, 25. And see, that's another reason you have to change that last Radiant out, because you lost a little bit of crit. I like to be at 25%, 100% crit before anything. Like, as soon as my pet procs, I don't like the outside source. Okay, we got that. Another big change we did, we'll start with the companions. I'm running the Con Artist, the new meta of the game. So, the guys I run with, I mentioned earlier, 3 of us have the Con Artist, and 1 of us uses the Bard. So, and like a couple other people we run into, with the Con Artist, it'll be like old Mod 9 runs, you'll kill so fast. Because of this ability called Wicked Strike. Deals damage to many foes standing in the way of this attack. But this guy over here, the final strike of Wicked Strike now shreds 10% of the target's defenses, and it will stack per pet. Companion, rather. So, we're looking at 30% debuff from 3 people. If you're running 5, you can get the 50% debuff, which is it's amazing. I don't know if you guys done burn groups with it, but yeah, it's definitely much better in a group. I feel that when I'm soloing, my fire is still better, but I'm not changing in and out the slots. So I run the Con Artist, I run the air, I run the earth, and a lot of people disagree with the earth, but like in burn groups with like 3 supports, you'll be at full health almost the whole time. You'll be taking damage, but it won't seem like it. I used I believe she's called the Eye of Belial. I believe her name is 10% severity. And I used the Blink Dog. Now this spot, I've tried multiple pets. I've tried the Fire, and I've tried the Seize Master, and the Blink Dog. And between the three, this is a noticeably higher DPS output with the same group of people that I run with. When I was on the Fire, I ran the Seize Master. But if I was doing the Stronghold, I would definitely switch to the Seize Master. Alright, so that's my companions. That's my big changes on companions. The mounts, I changed. I used Tensor's Disc for my power, 4,000 recovery, and 140 run speed. My insignias are Gladiator's Guile. It gives me 15% move speed if my stamina is above 75%. And when it's below 25%, you gain 50% of your power as stamina gain. Magistrate's Patience. When you perform a critical strike, your target will gain a stack of consideration. And enemies affected by consideration take physical damage equal to 10% of your power over 4 seconds. And Cavalry's Warning. When you activate a mount combat power, you gain increased 10% of your power, recovery, armor pen, crit, defense, deflect, regen, and lifesteal. And that will be when I pop my Tensor's Disc. That will go into effect, so I will get 20% power increase. And Protector's Camaraderie. Whenever you summon companion attacks, you gain 3% power defense for 10 seconds, stacks up to 4 times. And this is a new one I've been testing, and I seem to like it. It goes off with plant growth. Combat maneuver. When you control an enemy, you gain 5% combat advantage for 10 seconds. Alright, so that's that. My barbs, I use crit and combat advantage. My crescents, I use crit and combat advantage. My lightens, I use crit and action point. My regals, I use power, companion influence. And my illuminateds, I use power and companion influence again. And that's the mounts. This is the only one I really changed. Okay, so mounts are done. And I'll do the boons real quick. I'll start up top. Sharandar, I went power, crit, action point. Elven Ferocity, I did that one, which is a chance to do damage. This one's probably better. This is you get a chance to heal yourself for 20k. And Elvish Fury, which stacks power. Dread Ring, I went crit, lifesteal, resist ignored. Shadow Touch, this is another one where you could take the heal instead. I took the damage with the Immortal Strike debuff, if you're familiar with that term from like WoW. And Rampage and Madness. Icewind Dale, I went combat advantage. I went stamina gain, crit severe, and cool resolve, 2,000 power based on how much stamina is missing, and Winter's Bounty. You can take this one up here, Avalanche. I found it very underperforms, not that much damage. Underdark is the only campaign I'm not done from the original ones. I went power, crit hit points, combat advantage, stamina, regen, and I'm gonna take this bad boy, 10% versus demon. So like, the great weapon fighters that are outperforming me, this will definitely help me catch up with them. Tyranny of Dragons, I went power, crit, pen, lifesteal, and crit severity. And I don't have those last two parts of that. And Stronghold, I go power, defense. Even if I had the lifesteal, I would use the defense due to the fact that you're a squishy little bugger. And I used either the hit points or the mount. Like if I'm doing dragons, I'll switch to the mount. Maze Engine, lifesteal severity, combat advantage, action points, And I used to run this one. It still didn't seem to save me from getting one shot, even with the negate on. So I rely on my dodge more. This one here, if you guys can leave a comment, I don't know if your wild medicine procs that. If it does, I would use it. Because I don't think lifesteal does. But I'm unsure about the feat. And Bahamut's Might we don't need because we're crit capped. And increased control, so my plant growth will control better. Elemental Evil. Power. Lifesteal. Severity hit points. Crit hit points. And I stayed with the recovery. Because I don't need the Gale of this one that gives you crit because I'm capped. Alright, so those are the campaigns. The boons are done. Powers. Alright, and this is the first guy I mentioned in the beginning of my video. Thornward. Now this I went through a lot of testing between Thornward and plant growth with the Longstrider because everyone was recommending Thornward. So after a lot of runs, Thornward underperforms by at least 20 million running with the same group. But the other fella recommended to switch Longstrider with Thornward, and I'm simply in love with this now. Your solo DPS will do so much more damage than running the Longstrider. The Longstrider with the plant growth and throw caution is still very viable. Like if I do a demo or dragons or anything with long running, or if I'm trying to coordinate with the group to burn down to make the great weapon fighter hit them 7 million crits, I will use the Longstrider. But 75% of the time now, I use throw caution, plant growth, and Thornward, and my rotation will be Thornward, plant growth. No, throw caution, plant growth, Thornward, and then go back to throw caution, and then Thornward, and then plant growth, because your plant growth won't be back up. But before you do that, you're going to open with your wheel, pop your Tensor's Disc, shoot your archery version of the Thornward, which is, it'll tick and debuff. And again, if anyone knows the exact percent, please leave a comment underneath once I post this on YouTube. And I would really appreciate that, and I'll give you guys credit. I like to give credit to whoever's helping me out. And the feats, I'll go over all of them, and the crit chance, hit points, your switching stances, 3% more damage, stamina regens, you have to take a point, your encounters, 6% more damage. Deflect chance, 2 points. I wish I can get another one in there, but I don't know where to take from. This one and this one, I don't know which one's better. This one seems better to me. The Dex does 6% more bonus damage, and this is your at-wills, a percent if something's not targeting you. Over here, went straight across, melee stance, 5% lifesteal. I'm sure you guys are by now know most of these feats, but I'll go over all of them. Melee stance, deflecting crit by 2.5. 10% to you lose 10% chance, you gain 50% severity. Melee attacks do an additional 50% damage as piercing damage that cannot be resisted. This was fixed in Mod 10. Melee attacks do 5% more damage and 5% more damage to each foe within 25 feet. The first part of that was added in Mod 10. This thing is incredible. Your Blade Hurricane, which will proc Flurry for 2 seconds. It used to be just one at will. And after you pop an encounter, you can get 3 at wills. So you go encounter, 3 at wills, encounter, 3 at wills, so on, so on. And Battle Crazed, melee attacks grant 3% more deflect and melee damage. This effect stacks up to 5 times. Really good. I think I get my deflect close to 40% now. Just self-buffed. And Wild Medicine, this is the one I was explaining. I don't know if the boons are affected by this. Deflecting attacks cause the hunter to be healed for 5% of their hit points over 15 seconds. Stacks 10 times. This is a 50% heal. That thing's awesome, man. And the one I changed by watching KB's video is I took the 5 out of increased the damage and reduced resistance of penalty throw caution by 5%. If you're running negate instead of the Elven like I do, you can live through the one hit on a lot of stuff. And I switched that for the Lucky Blades, because if you remember my other video, I was taking that and choosing between one of these and this right here, taking this over the throw caution. If you run with the same group, it adds like 8 mil a run. About that. Alright, so I'm trying to talk fast. I'm going with it. So I think I covered pretty much everything. The artifacts as companions, gear, insignia, boons. That's mostly all of the changes. And if you guys have any questions, leave a comment. I'll probably be uploading this to YouTube tonight. You can watch it in 4K. Powers I'm done with. Explained everything there. It's Blade Storm you want to run as your active, and I do Twin Blade Storm. I tried this one, maybe switch to it on a boss. I didn't like it too much. I would recommend either Blade Storm with Aspect of the Pact. Well, my combat advantage is good enough already. Or Blade Storm with Twin Blade Storm. And for PvP, I saw that guy KB was running Aspect of the Lone Wolf, and he gets his deflect up to like 80%. Boons, companions, mounts. So that would be all. Oh, difference between Hunter and Great Weapon Fighter. I said it was going to be my next video, so I'll just throw it in there. The Hunter combat build hits like very high steady damage. Like you're way over moderate damage. Like on the trash, you kill a lot faster than a Great Weapon Fighter. You don't really have a spike. You can kind of time it where you're dropping your plant growth when Commander Strike goes off and he's IBSing for kind of a spike. But his spike does so much more damage that you won't touch him. Like example, for going through a CN, you'll out damage him up to the trash on the first boss, and then he'll pass you at the boss. Up to the second boss, you'll out damage him, you'll pass him. At the second boss, he'll pass you. Same thing with the third boss. Once you get up to Orcus, you'll be in the lead, and then he'll blow you away on Orcus. So if it ended on a trash rotation, you would actually out DPS him. Like in the open world, you do more consistent fluid damage. It's easier to do your dailies and stuff. Well, who are you kidding? Great Weapon Fighters, just you can hold Weapon Master Strike down once you're 4K. Just like I can hold clear the ground down. So I use clear the ground, left trigger. I use split strike, right trigger. Throw caution on X. Plant growth on Y. And either Thorn Ward or Long Strider Arrow on B. That's all I got for today, guys. And thank you very much for watching. And hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe. I'll keep making videos. And if you could, please leave the comments about the questions I asked if anyone knows the answers. And that's it. Laz out. Thank you for watching, guys.